Good morning, all of you. We were discussing the chapter electric charges and fields. So we studied about flux, the electric field lines crossing through an area. So electric flux is basically amount of electric field lines crossing an area. Okay. So when we have studied the electric flux, now we already know one formula for finding electric flux through any closed surface. That is phi equals to the dot product of electric field vector and the area vector. And if you integrate this integral, if electric field is constant, then you will place the value of E, and the electric field will be same at every cross section of the surface. And if the area is taken to be very small, then you have to integrate the total electric flux to find out the total net electric flux through the closed surface. Now we are going to talk about one of the applications of Gauss law. So Gauss law is applied to find out the electric fields due to different charge configurations. We have studied two kinds of charge configurations. One is discrete charges, the other one is the continuous charge bodies. So one of those charge bodies is a uniform rod which is infinite in length, just like this. I am drawing a rod which is infinitely extending from above and infinitely extending from below. So if you have to find out the electric field due to this infinitely uniformly charged rod in the vicinity of this rod at any point, let's say at a point which is at a distance r. So how will you apply Gauss law to find out the result? Okay. So now we are going to start our application. So basically the idea is, first recall the Gauss law. The Gauss law is the total electric flux through a closed surface. The total electric flux through a closed surface, that is, I have already written one formula, is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times charge enclosed by the surface. So this was the Gauss law. So by seeing this formula, we know that if you have a closed surface and you have the charge which is inside, you have the information about the charge, then you can easily find out the total electric flux by just dividing the charge enclosed by epsilon naught. Okay, and this formula is valid only for vacuum. Okay, because if you take any other medium which have some dielectric constant, then there will be some changes, but that is out of our scope. Okay, so when we are applying the Gauss law, we are assuming that we are talking about vacuum only. So let's draw the rod. This is the application of the Gauss law. You are finding out the electric field at a point which is at a distance r from a infinitely charged rod. Rod is obviously uniform. The charge in this part of the rod is equal to in this part of the rod. That is, it is uniformly charged. The charge is not non-uniform. Charge is equal in this part, in this part, in this part. So it is having a charge density lambda. That too you have also studied lambda. Lambda is charge per unit length. The charge a unit length contains is represented by lambda. So we are going to take out our expression in terms of lambda only. So let us consider a point which is at a distance r. So you know how to apply the Gauss law. The first method is, you have to make a Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is any closed surface that you have to choose which is applicable to your situation. So we have taken a rod. So we will take a Gaussian surface which is a cylindrical Gaussian surface. Cylindrical Gaussian surface because Gaussian surface we are taking because at the point which is at the surface of the cylinder will be equidistant from the source, that is our uniformly charged rod. If the charge density is positive, then the uniformly charged rod will be positive and the electric field will be away from the source, that is away from the rod. So let us say this is our area dA. This is some area dA, this curved surface. So to find out the net electric flux through the whole cylinder, you have to see all the cross section areas. This, let's say it is cross section area 1, which is obviously a circle, and this is cross section area 2, which is also a circle, and this is the curved surface area of the cylinder. So there are basically three ways for electric field lines to come out of the surface. So you are calculating the total flux in terms of these three areas. So the electric field is, let's say, opposite, away from the source at this point, and the area vector is always coming out dA. And when will you integrate this E dot dA by applying the Gauss formula? Then you will see that electric field is same at every point on the curved surface because it is equidistant electric field due to point charges kq by r square. So it is dependent on the distance from the source. So if the distance is constant, the electric field also becomes constant. So simply start. Let's say total flux is the total flux through all the surfaces which are contained by the Gaussian surface. Phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. We have given the names 1, 2 and 3. Although although we can see that 1 and 2 are same, both are circles, but still. So this is the total surface. Now one thing, the total flux through cross section area 1 will be 0 because the product E dot dA. If the electric field vector and the area vector will be perpendicular to each other, the net flux will be 0 because E dot dA will be E dA cos theta, and if you place theta equals to 90 degree, then the product will be 0. So here the area vector is above dA vector and electric field is obviously on the right, because we know that the electric field goes away from the positive charge. And at this point, all the points on this cross section area, the area vector is below and electric field is obviously on the right. So always making an angle 90 degrees. So the flux through the surface 1 and 2 will be 0. So I will place 0 plus 0. The remaining part is the curved surface of the cylinder. So curved surface area you already know, but we will place the value afterwards. So what I can write with the basic formula? Can I write E dot dA? E dot dA. Now tell me what is the angle between E and dA? That is 0. So can I write simply EDA? I have written EDA. We just need to integrate this term. If if we are integrating it, we have to place integral here only, because we are talking about the whole surface. We have written phi total. So this will come out to be E into A. Area will be the curved surface area. So this is the first part of the problem. That you have calculated phi total to be EA. Now, according to Gauss law, you have studied that if you have a closed surface, just like a cylinder or any kind of known surface like a sphere, cube, so you can apply the formula Q inside by epsilon naught also. So I can write phi total equals to Q enclosed or Q inside upon epsilon naught. So these two formulas are the same, just two different formulas but giving the same result. Now I can rub this. You can, if you want to note it down, you can note it down by pausing the video. Now I will write according to Gauss law. According to Gauss law, you can write, or using Gauss law, same thing. Both of the fluxes are same. The two fluxes that you have written by using two different formulas are same. So I will write E into A equals to Q inside by epsilon naught. Now it is going to be very simple. In place of area, you will write curved surface area of the cylinder. Curved surface of the area of the cylinder is 2 pi RH. So I will write E into 2 pi RH. I am not placing any value in E because E is the thing that we are going to find out. E is the variable that we are looking forward to find out. So what is Q inside? Q inside is charge per unit length. Lambda is given, and this is the finite length. The height of the Gaussian surface that you have taken is a finite height. Let's say it is L. Here I forgot to place height. Height is the L of the cylinder. So I have written L. E into 2 pi RL. Now Q inside will be, I have told you guys that Q inside will be charge density, whatever it is, surface charge density, linear charge density or volume charge density. You just have to multiply it by the required area or required length. You are going to find out the L length charge of the rod. So I will multiply Q inside lambda into L. Lambda into L is the required charge that is present in the rod, the portion of the rod which is inside the Gaussian surface. So I will place lambda L in place of Q inside. I hope this is clear. It is very clear because the charge is also infinite, because the length of the rod is infinite. So you are going to find out the charge only in the portion which is inside the Gaussian surface, and only L length of the rod is in the Gaussian surface. So I have written lambda L. So I will write down lambda L upon epsilon naught. Else I will cut down L. So electric field will be lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught R. This is the magnitude of the electric field due to a infinitely long uniformly charged rod. So the main thing is that this rod is uniformly charged. Electric field is coming out to be inversely proportional to R. So as you move towards away from the rod, the electric field is going to decrease. One thing more is that If lambda is negative, the electric field lines will come towards the rod, and if it is positive, it will go away from the rod, and the magnitude will decrease as you go away from the rod. Okay, if you want to draw the graph, of E versus R here, then you can draw easily E versus R. R is inversely proportional, so it will be a rectangular hyperbola. So at infinity, if R will tend to infinity, the electric field will touch the R axis, it will be 0. And the maximum electric field will be at R equals to 0. If you place the value R equals to 0, electric field will touch the infinity in positive E direction. So infinity will be the electric field at R equals to 0, and at R equals to infinity, the electric field will be 0. So the range of electric field is from 0 to infinity. Sorry, infinity to 0. Infinite here, as you move away, it will start decreasing and it will be 0 at infinity. So this was the application of the Gauss law. We have found out the electric field in terms of R. Lambda is obviously a constant, pi is also a constant. So on the basis of this derivation, you can do various problems. We will do some more videos on this to do some various types of difficult questions and some important questions on this formula. And the important thing is also the graph. Thank you so much.